everybody. My name is Alex. I am the representative for Nikka for New York. Really excited to do this. I've never done one of these events at this particular store before. It's like a really cool space. So, oh, awesome. Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Seats right there for you.
Perfect. Hello.
Cool. Oh, you're good. You're good. Just about to get started. So anyways, my name is Alex. I'm the Nikka representative for New York. I just started with, well, technically I work for the importer. So, I do Nikka, some of the Luxardo items. Hein Cognac is also, in my portfolio. But Nikka is actually like my #1 focus. So I'm excited to have you guys here today. The cocktail, for those of you who just walked in, there's 2 cocktails right here. Or 1 cocktail each. It's an old fashioned. Okay. So feel free to go ahead and take a sip. It's we're not really saving it for anything in particular. I'll tell you a little bit about the old fashioned. I did make it with the Nikka coffee grain whiskey. We'll go through the specifics of it, but this one is my personal favorite for doing an old fashioned from the Nikka line. It does have a good amount of corn as well as barley in the mash bill. So kind of unusual for a Japanese whiskey to see American corn. Like they actually take American corn, take it to Japan, distill it, and then they sell it back to us. It's kind of awesome. But
they make it better.
Pretty much, yeah. But the sugar, so it's a typical old fashioned. I have a orange twist. I have Angostura bitters. But I also, keeping with the theme, I used some of these Japanese Kokudo sugar cubes. It's a very particular kind of sugar. It's very rich. It's got a lot of molasses and grassy flavors on it too. So that just adds some boldness and depth to the cocktail, I think. So, but anyways, I do recommend if you like it. You can order these on Amazon, and it's really fun. So we'll make one together at the end. I'll show you how. But yeah. So first things first. Has anyone here not had Nikka before? Cool. Well, you're about to have a lot of them, so. I'll talk to you a little bit about Nikka, just like the history of the distillery, sort of like how it came about, and then we'll start going through, the various whiskeys and talk a little bit about them. They are arranged in order from your top left going right. It's going to be like lightest to heaviest. So, and we'll go in that order. The Nikka Days is the lightest expression, so we'll definitely be starting there. Just a little bit about Nikka. Nikka is kind of an interesting story. The founder, Masataka Taketsuru, actually obviously from Japan, the founder of Japanese whiskey, but he actually learned the trade in Scotland. So he moved in 1918 over to Scotland. Began work in a distillery. That's where he learned a lot of the techniques, how to distill. Honestly, really was a fine tuning, learning about not just that, but things about, the emphasis of the importance of climate on aging. Something that he took and kind of expanded upon once he got to Japan. That's a really big deal with Scotch whiskey. Something aged by the sea in a cooler climate, it's not going to taste the same after several years as something in a hotter climate. But anyways, he went over there. He worked for a Scotch whiskey distillery for many years. He actually met a woman there, got married. So he came back with a wife and all the secrets of whiskey. He got his fill out of Scotland. And then he came back. So originally he didn't necessarily have a distillery once he landed in Japan. He was basically acting as a consultant for a whiskey company that was up and coming, which is nowadays Beam Suntory. So it was a very early, version of what is now today that. So, he basically did that for several years. And then in the late 30s, he opened up Nikka. So he just got tired of working for someone else, and he wanted to, have his own distillery. And the first distillery, there's 2. The first one is the Yoichi Distillery. So that is in Hokkaido, which is super far north in Japan. So extremely, for Japan, it's a very cool climate. It's right by the water. The whiskeys that come out of the Yoichi distillery are produced with a copper pot still. It's a very unique still. It is still operated like with coal, like they shovel coal into it, something that no Scotch whiskey distilleries really do anymore. It's a very old school way of doing it, and they still do it to this day. So it's pretty much the same way as they did in the 30s. But yeah, as far as the Yoichi, so we don't have it today, but the Yoichi single malt whiskey that they produce is solely from that distillery, and it tastes wildly different than the Miyagikyo that we'll try today. It's going to have more of a salinity from that seaside breeze and everything, and Miyagikyo is actually produced at the Miyagikyo distillery. That one's in Sendai, it's a little bit farther south in Japan. So you can see here the contrast. I mean, it's not always snowing there, but you know. But Miyagikyo is not necessarily right on the ocean. It's kind of more of in a valley in between two rivers. It's a little bit more of a humid climate. And so that influences the aging and how the wood reacts and expands and contracts and allows the pores to open up for the whiskey to seep in and out. And it just has a much different flavor. So let's go into the whiskey. So let's do the Nikka Days to start. So if you want to pick it up, put your nose in it, give it a little sniffy sniff, a little taste. The Nikka Days is the lightest expression that we have. It is really designed to be a daily drink, an easy kind of, not overly complex whiskey, but it's incredibly soft and it's round. And it has a really nice malt character. It's a mixture of malt and grain whiskeys. It's very lightly peated. This is the kind of whiskey that they really had envisioned for making a highball with. I fall in love with it when the weather is warmer because it is very light. It has a very light character and body to it. It's mixable. It's not too expensive. It serves a lot of different purposes. Like I said, they borrow a lot from the Scotch whiskey way of making whiskey, and so peating, using peat to dry out the mash or the grains is definitely something they do. Yeah, I think they did a good job with that one. I know packaging doesn't matter, but I kind of like the contrast. They kind of went for more of a fun, youthful look, and I think a lot of the other the Scotch whiskeys and Japanese whiskeys are they tend to go in that sophisticated old man smoking lounge kind of thing, and which I like, but it's kind of interesting. But yeah, that's the Nikka Days. So then next one up, as far as intensity, flavor profile, will be the Nikka grain whiskey, which I know you guys are quite familiar with. So this is the whiskey that I actually used for the old fashioned, and there's a couple of reasons why I like this one, particularly in an old fashioned. One is that it's 90 proof, so it's going to be a little bit higher proof than the Nikka Days. It's also got a good amount of corn in it, which is the only one that has that. So it has a mixture of barley and American corn in it, which is very, very unusual. But smelling and tasting them side by side, they're quite different. You get a lot more like a brown sugar kind of quality, like when you put your nose in it, as compared to the Nikka Days. Mm-hmm.
There's also the coffee malt whiskey. What's the substantive difference between the two?
So yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. So the coffee, this is something that everybody asks me. They always fixate on the coffee thing. They're like, are they just spelling coffee wrong? Is that how they say it in Japan? There is no coffee anywhere near this whiskey. Coffee actually is just referring to the type of still that they're using. And it looks just like this. It's a very tall still. So this is located in the Miyagikyo distillery, not the Yoichi. So this is the newer one. This distillery, the Miyagikyo, opened up in 1968. And the reason that opened, the reason why there was two distilleries, not just one, is it was very common practice in Scotland to have variation in your whiskeys if you're doing a blend or something, to share with other producers. And you know, somebody down in Isla might share some of their whiskey with somebody in the Highlands. They might, you know, create something interesting, you know, blend something together. He couldn't do that because nobody else was really making whiskey in Japan. So he was like, well, the only way I'm going to be able to do that is I got to go to another region. I got to create a new distillery and I got to make it different. And that's what he did. So this still this is a coffee still, also known as a continuous still, column still. It just produces a very different type of spirit with a different texture versus a pot still. It's a little bit more efficient to operate, but it's sort of complex. So it takes a lot of skill to operate it. But yeah, no coffee in it. The coffee still was just named after a guy with the last name of Coffee, unfortunately. This is probably my favorite out of the bunch just to sip neat. So, as I said before, this is from the Nikka Distillery solely. This is a single malt. There's no grain whiskey in here at all. So it's 100% malted barley. It's going to be 45% ABV. This one, as compared to like the stuff that comes out of the Yoichi Distillery, has a much more round profile and flavor. It's very soft. Yeah, it's got a nice body and texture to it. It's almost a little bit fruity. Let's do the Taketsuru Pure Malt for the next one. This is actually, I'm excited to show this to you guys. It actually is, I'm not gonna say it's new, but it was a pretty heavily allocated product in New York. It wasn't easy to get for a little while, but that's no longer the case. So the Taketsuru Pure Malt is named after Masataka Taketsuru, the founder. And what this is a blend of single malt whiskeys from the Yoichi Distillery as well as the Miyagikyo Distillery. So really it's just select barrels. They're blending it in a certain way just to get a balance. You know, I mentioned that the two distilleries produce wildly different spirits. I think that this is a really nice balanced product between the two. If you taste it side by side with the Miyagikyo, you'll notice a little bit more of a peaty character, and that's just because the Yoichi single malt is in there. You're gonna get sort of like an oceanic kind of like, almost like an iodine kind of thing. That's solely from the Yoichi single malt. Has anybody had this one before? I know you have. No? Yeah. So this one, other than having probably the sexiest bottle in the Japanese whiskey game, it's very hard to pour. But you know, right. Yeah, it is. It's quite difficult.
Would you persevere?
Yeah, it's worth it. But yeah, this one is just keep in mind this one is a little bit higher in ABV. So if you wanted to put like a little drop of water in it, feel free. It's it's not crazy. It's not like a cask strength or something. It's 51.4% or 51.4%. But the Nikka from the barrel is really all about retaining that intensity and that flavor, and it's also, you know, it's a blend of various whiskeys. It's really about just finding choice barrels and, like, you know, being a little bit selective about the ones that they choose and putting it in here and not diluting it too much with water before they put it in the bottle. But so Japanese whiskey by law has to be aged for 3 years. They don't really do age statements for this one. Yeah. My understanding, and don't quote me on this, is it's approximately 6. But they're not super upfront about, like, you know, how long they let things age. They're just now starting to come out with age statement whiskeys, and I think that could very well be in response to the American market, because I think Americans just really like age statements. I mean, I like them too. I don't. We love numbers, yeah. We love numbers. We like, you know, when you walk around, you see the ratings on the wine and stuff. It's just how we are. I don't know, and I'm like that too. I'm not pointing fingers at anybody.
Well, but were most of them blends? So is that why they would do the age statement? Because you're saying, like, there might be next year, but then they're
100%. You know, I mean, that's probably a big part of it, because, you know, really these, you know, like the Nikka from the barrel, the Nikka Days, they're doing it by taste and what tastes good, and it's just it's an art. It's cognac producers are kind of like that too. You'll see an XO cognac, like some of them are 10 years old. Some of them have whiskeys that are 22 years old sometimes, and they don't advertise it, but there's like, you have a young whiskey, balance it out with, or a spirit in general, and balance it out with something a little older. Really, at the end of the day, it's about just that process, tasting it, correcting, figuring out a nice blend. So it's good. It's pretty bold. It holds up to ice very nicely as well if you do like a big rock on it. Something I do recommend. I don't know, I don't think I talked about the sushi, but the sushi I just thought it'd be fun, doing some Japanese whiskey, let's do some sushi. And then the little crunchy things on the right, it's just like a tempura seaweed thing. They're really good.
How often
Wegmans.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, they're actually right next to the sushi area too. It's conveniently. Yeah. I'd love to talk cocktails a little bit too. So let's do exactly that. I made the old fashioned for you, but I'm gonna make one and just show you what I did. Let's see. Alrighty. Anybody here make old fashions at home? Perfect. Everybody loves old fashions, right? Okay, great. All right, so I mean, I do old fashions a little bit differently. Like if I were to be working in a bar versus like being at home. Like if I was in a bar, I would never do like the sugar cube method. It just takes too much time. But I personally like doing it. I think it's fun when it's like just you and someone else. Also, the moment you take sugar and add water to it, it will spoil. Like very quickly. Same with honey. If you make a honey syrup, like honey will last thousands and thousands of years. They found honey in like Egyptian tombs that's still edible. But the moment you make a honey syrup with like water and honey, it'll start molding in like a month. It's kind of crazy. But what I like to do, I do these sugar cubes. So it's called a kokudo sugar. It's like a black Japanese sugar. It's super rich, very like molassesy. It's a very like healthy, like like I don't want to say raw sugar because I think of the brand raw sugar or like whatever, but it's just a very all natural sugar with no processes, like no weird stuff. I like to do about half of this. But you can do the whole thing. I think I did approximately like if you the sweetness level of what you tasted was probably about half of one of these if you made one drink, if that makes sense.
So it was half in this little bit?
No. So what I did was I made a big batch, right? And I did like the equivalent of like 8 full-sized old fashions. And I put, for each one of those 8 I batched out, I did about half of one of these cubes. And then I just poured off a little for each of you. So like there's not a half a sugar cube in your little cup. Okay, cool. just to make sure. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be exact. It's very easy to correct. You can just add more whiskey to it. So, but yeah, what I like to do is take it, just do a little bit of water, not much, and then come in with the bitters. I go very heavy. Angostura bitters are not, I see a lot of people are like kind of skittish and they're like, like that, like they're not that bitter. They're flavorful, but yeah, like go good, go heavy with it. Then I want to just turn it into like a little bit of a paste. This is the fun part. All right. Perfect. So yeah, there you go. And then we want to add some whiskey most likely. So do 2 ounces of the coffee grain. Such an easy drink. Yep. If you got those big old ice cubes, definitely use them. Otherwise, And just kind of come in. Give it a little stir. And finishing touch, I think the most important part, such a simple drink, and it's very, at this point you have some like a lot of dark flavors going on. You got the cinnamon and allspice and stuff from the Angostura bitters. You have that dark sugar, the whiskey. It's really nice to lighten it up with a citrus twist. I don't really particularly like doing a cherry in old fashioned. I think traditionally the citrus twist is probably the best way to go. But most importantly, you have to express the oils. So I do see a lot of people that will take the peel and they'll just throw it in there. Like, you really need to get those oils to come out. And you can see, I wish I had like a dark backdrop. You can see like that giant spreads, like that's what you want. And you can do it multiple times. So I did one, but you can do it like that. You can see the drops hitting the top of it. You can do that. You can even, and once you express the oils, you've kind of folded it in half. Each one of these halves can do it again. So you could have a lot if you want, but it depends on your taste. Like to give it a little rub on the rim, throw it in there. There it is. I like to have fun with it too, and do a lemon and orange sometimes. But yeah, the most important part, make sure you get the oils out there.
Do you use orange bitters or just regular?
I just use regular. Nothing wrong with using orange. I would say I would do orange in addition to the Angostura. I think this cocktail doesn't really, an old fashioned with only orange bitters is a little underwhelming. They're just very different types of bitters. Like orange bitters tend to have more of a lifting quality, whereas this is more of a, I don't know, it sort of rounds everything out and kind of connects the dots between the sugar and the whiskey. So, but yeah, that's it. I mean, that's an old fashioned. I mean, it's, that model right there is so fun to play with. I like, you could do different kinds of sugar, different types of whiskey. You could do a honey syrup. You could do whatever. But yeah, for the Japanese whiskey, like that sugar, I love it. It's called Kokudo sugar. This is what I. But yeah, I'm gonna make you guys a sour. So this is gonna be a shaken cocktail. We're gonna shake this one because we're actually incorporating fruit juices and things like that. Anything that's spirituous, like an old fashioned in Manhattan, you want to stir it rather than shake it. There's just it's a lot easier to combine everything. Like when you think about it, you're using clear ingredients. You want to retain that clarity. It's a textural thing as well. But something that has citrus and simple syrup, other things, you gotta be a little bit more aggressive to combine those ingredients. There are different densities. Also, it just takes a lot more dilution to sort of balance that out. So. Yeah. So I'm gonna make a drink that's called an expat. It was originally a bourbon drink, but I'm gonna do it with a Japanese whiskey. So it's not a super old drink. It's more of like a new classic, probably more around like 2000. So, but basically what this drink is imagine a whiskey sour, but with some some tiki vibes. Got some mint, fresh lime juice instead of lemon. So, and then we're gonna do a touch of bitters too. Let's see here. All right, so I'm gonna start with the mint. I'm gonna do probably about 6 mint leaves. I just take them, I kind of rip them into like 3 pieces, throw it in there. I guess I'll fill both. Do that. We will take 2 ounces, actually we'll do 3/4 of an ounce of simple syrup. Perfect. I like to just press the mint just a little bit. At the end of the day, we are going to be shaking this with ice, so it's going to be, waking it up. And then I'm going to do the same amount of lime juice. It's a pretty standard build. I mean, anytime you're adding like lime juice or lemon, if you use an equal amount of simple syrup, it usually balances out. You know, if you're doing like a simple structured sour like this one. So I did 3/4 of an ounce of simple syrup. So I'm gonna do 3/4 of an ounce of lime juice. And then I'm going to do 2 ounces of whiskey. It's like 2 1/4 probably. All right. Why not? Let's see. I do have an important part about it. Make sure you put a lot of ice in there. I see this a lot too. Like, this is not enough ice to shake it, and there's a reason for it. Like, at a certain point, you have to think about it. Is the ice cooling down the drink, or is the drink that's in there melting your ice? It's room temperature liquid. It's a power struggle, energy. You know, which one is doing which? You know, so you know what I mean? Yeah. Because right now that whiskey is fighting it. Like, it's just, that's all it's doing.
Quicker with just right on the position, right?
There you go.
He's going to the next. Now it's getting the water.
I feel so silly using the shaker. I don't even know if I know how to use it. But try my best here.
Looks like something you find in your dorm room.
Yeah. I guess so. Okay. It's working. All right. We're good. Cool.
Juice it right into the whole
Yeah. There you go. That works.
So what do you call it?
It's called so the drink is called an expat, like expat, like PAT. But again, it was a bourbon drink, but it's very easy to just sub out for like a Japanese whiskey.
Japanese person would actually make this.
Probably. So I think I feel like the name was sort of a play on this idea, because I mentioned it was bourbon. Sort of like this idea that, like, you know, somebody, like, I don't know, think about like an American who like loves bourbon and goes somewhere like a tropical island and starts drinking like mojitos and like was like, I want it with bourbon though. And I guess I'll do like 2 more. There you go.
Thank you.
Yeah, it does because we know. Well, that's excellent. It's like that.
Cool. Oh yeah, the only thing I didn't put in the first one, I usually do like a little bit of bitters in it, but not much. Just so you guys know, all the whiskeys that we talked about today, I think you guys have like a gift card or something. They're all over there. Feel free if it's something you want to take home or gift to somebody. We pulled them in here, so.
Awesome. Well, thank you. This is
Yeah.
really awesome.
Yeah, and those books are really great. It kind of goes through a lot of the, hit the history of it. Kind of can give you a little refresher about the particular whiskeys as well. So,
Thanks so much.
Any questions or? Also, I'm not kicking you out, just so you know.